Tim Kawakami of the San Jose Mercury News, as promised, is phoning into the Rich Eisen show. How are you, Tim?
I'm doing just fine, Rich. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. What do we make of the 49ers going on this rip ever since everybody says that Jim has outstayed his welcome again?
Well, they're going to have to get used to it, probably. There's going to be stories pretty much every Sunday now, or Monday when they play. This. I think they're just getting used to it. Maybe a little bit of a shock to the system, to some of the players or to whoever. I don't think Harbaugh really cares. It doesn't really matter to him. We've all seen that he coaches well in chaos, and sometimes he creates it himself, and that's all okay with him. It was that way at Stanford on a much less big stage, but it's that way with the 49ers for sure. Listen, they can coach. This staff can coach. They've got a lot of talented players. They've been through some injuries. But I think they were going to have to work their way into the season, starting it without Bowman and Aldon Smith, and maybe they had a little bumps in the road early, lost a couple games. They don't really get into the distraction game. This is that team. We talk about them. We know there are issues out there. Certainly could have an effect long term if the players don't know if Jim Harbaugh is going to be the coach next year. But right now, it's just win a Super Bowl, and it doesn't help anybody if this all blows apart. And I think maybe from the owner to the general manager to the coaching staff to the players, maybe that took a couple of weeks to dawn on them to put it together in a pretty decent part of their schedule and get it together before, they got the bye week coming up after this one. And then you start looking at some of these players coming back. And Aldon Smith comes back week 10, Navarro Bowman from the injury, maybe, week 11 and week 12. And then you're going to really see what this team's about.
Well, I'm looking forward to this game for sure on Sunday night because it is, especially with Peyton Manning maybe setting the all-time record for touchdown passes in this game, it's the 20th century quarterback against the 21st century quarterback, where Colin Kaepernick, the way he mans the position is so opposite the way Peyton Manning operates from his position. And the two of them will be on display. And if he can perform, Kaepernick, in the same manner against the Denver defense, I know it's a different defense in St. Louis and in Denver, although St. Louis's front seven is no joke. I mean, this could be the dichotomy at the position on display for everybody to see. I can't wait.
Yeah, and the fascinating thing is, the 49ers tried to sign Peyton Manning a couple years ago.
That's correct.
Although they steadfastly denied that they were trying to sign him. They were just evaluating.
They were just playing catch, though. They were just playing catch, Tim.
Yeah, they were giving him an interview. Just wanted to see if he was good enough for them. And that's with Kaepernick on the roster. That was after Alex Smith won, a playoff game for them. And they were very interested in Peyton Manning, which is interesting. It tells you how much you can adjust. How, the Jim Harbaugh offense was set up for Alex Smith, was set up for Andrew Luck before that in Stanford. Then, was very interested in signing Peyton Manning, and then went to Colin Kaepernick. Kind of go on the fly a little bit, which I respect, which you kind of have to do. You have to suit what you do to the talent that's available. So that's going to be interesting, I think. Just the idea that they wanted Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning decided not to sign with them, and there were a lot of interesting reasons for that. Then they go to Kaepernick after Alex Smith's hurt, and then they move it around. I mean, they shouldn't and they're not going to make Kaepernick a pocket quarterback. That's just not who he is. When he's at his best, he's extending the play and letting that rocket arm, find anybody that's open. Other guys can extend plays. They just can't get the ball downfield to these guys when they're on the move like that. When Kaepernick's moving around, and Anquan Boldin's open for a half a second in the back of the end zone, 40 yards downfield, he can get it to him running to his left. There aren't a lot of that's the this power of Kaepernick. Now maybe if you drop him back and he's just doing the 5-step drop, the ball's not going to go where it's supposed to go every time. I don't know that that's ever going to change. I've written this earlier this year. He is who he is. He's going to be 27 very soon. This is his third year as a starter under Jim Harbaugh. He probably can get a little bit better. I don't think he's going to get a great deal different as a quarterback. What he does is he breaks the pocket and he forces defense to react to his run, because if you don't, he's going to run for 50. And then as you react to his running threat, then he could throw it over you, and he can throw rockets over you. And you know what? He's more accurate when he's moving around. I don't think there's a doubt about that. To his left, to his right. Some quarterbacks are only accurate when they're moving to the right. He's just as accurate moving to his left, and sometimes even more dangerous because the defense lets that right side of the field go because they just don't think they have to defend it. And guess what? He can get it there.
Right.
He opens the field up that way. So, yeah, it's a fan. And we're not going to see Peyton doing that, I don't think, Rich. Or if it is, it isn't going to be scripted.
I know. We definitely won't see that. The Raiders, interestingly enough, can do the Niners a favor earlier in the day by knocking off Arizona, which is in the black hole. What can you tell me about the Raiders? So much discussion about who the next coach is going to be. I don't think anybody nationally believes it's going to be Sparano. I mean, Mark Davis can say that they perhaps have just hired their next coach, but that might just be discussion for in season to try and get through the season. Where do you think the Raiders go from here?
Yeah, I mean, it's Reggie McKenzie's job on the line here. That's what really is the focus. He's the general manager. He hired Dennis Allen a couple of years ago. He's assembled this roster. You know, obviously they had a lot of salary cap issues early on. Kind of went through the whole disruption of all that, the deconstruction, as Mark Davis called it, and now the reconstruction, as Mark Davis has said, hasn't been too good. They're very under-talented. There are reasons for it, but they've struck out on 2 veteran quarterbacks, have cost them a lot of money, and now they look like they have one in a rookie quarterback in Derek Carr. And I think is Carr good enough, and maybe Khalil Mack, you know, their first-round pick this year, the linebacker, are they good enough to kind of give Mark Davis a reason to stay with Reggie McKenzie and to have him hire his next coach? I don't think that's likely. And I'm not in Mark Davis's head. I think he likes Reggie McKenzie. I think he is hoping that this talent is better than it's shown so far, 05. We'll see how far they go. I think they have a roster that can win a few games. I don't know, you know, if it's probably not 5 or 6, but it might be 2 or 3 or 4. I think they played tougher in this most recent game against San Diego. I thought the Chargers came out super flat, and I think that's one of the benefits of being terrible is you put out such terrible game tape that your opponent has very little reason to try to practice too much because they just think they're going to roll the ball out and run all over the field. That didn't quite happen. The Raiders played a little tougher under Sparano. We'll see if that lasts. The Raiders have done this before. They've played a good game, and then they've just totally tanked the next one. We'll see how this develops. I think the story really is Reggie McKenzie, is the talent that he's assembled, these veteran free agents he's signed, which I didn't really see the purpose to. Is Derek Carr good enough, and he looks very, very good. Are these scattered things that McKenzie's kind of gathered together enough to let him stay on the job and decide who the next coach is? I don't think it's going to turn out that way, but I think the owners is willing to let it play out. And if they, you know, if they're competitive and they win 3 or 4 games, and you know, it may not be Sparano who's coming back, but you know, I think Sparano will have a chance at it. If they play tough, then Reggie McKenzie stays. If they don't play tough, if the talent breaks down again, if they don't have a real kind of pivot to the future, you can really see that, then they're going to have to get a new general manager and maybe, you know, a high-profile coach, whatever order they want to do that in. Obviously, John Gruden, someone they'd love. I don't know if Gruden wants that job. But, you know, Derek Carr being good, it might really help motivate Gruden or any other top coaching candidate because you always want to start with that quarterback.
Tim, thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
You got it, Richmond.
You bet. That's Tim Kawakami of the San Jose Mercury News.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern, on Audience.